What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So we have one again by Jason Whitlock, and I'm wondering because I've seen reports of Ace Bailey saying, "Oh, I don't want to go to Utah." He didn't even go to their little camp. They didn't even check things out. And Danny Ainge, I think, is the GM, or I could be wrong, but they drafted him and he didn't want to be drafted there. So let's listen in on Whitlock and Stephen Ken.
Steve, I want to switch up final topic for you here. I thought it was interesting based off some conversation we had earlier this week, player empowerment and the imbalance that no one looks out for a fan perspective. Ace Bailey, one of the top draft picks, would have been one of the top 2 or 3 draft picks in this last NBA draft, but he wouldn't work out for any teams. And he had a preferred list of teams he wanted to play for. I believe this is the kid from Rutgers, the Washington Wizards, the Pelicans, and the Brooklyn Nets were his 3 preferred teams. He ends up going to the Utah Jazz. Most people believe that he and his agents told the the Utah Jazz not to select him, and they selected him anyway. Danny Ainge and his son refusing to be bullied. Here's Brian Windhorst talking about Ace Bailey and what's going on with the Jazz. He did not fly to Utah yesterday like their other first-round draft pick. People don't know how this is going to play out. He may try to force his way out of Utah, but here's Brian Windhorst breaking it down.
I have to hit it one more time.
What's going on in Utah?
Ace Bailey's selected there. And look, I like him maybe more than others do. He can really play. He can really make buckets. But there's so much question about, does he want to be there? Like, what's your sense of that?
Okay, so he very clearly was trying to guide himself to certain places in the draft, and he very clearly didn't have Utah on that list. Now, Jonathan Givony reported earlier that at least one of the teams in the top 5 was told, and maybe more than one, but we know at least one was told, if you draft my client, he is not going to report. Okay, he did not go to Utah today. Walter Clayton, their other first-round draft pick, did go to Utah today. Now, the Jazz have said that's not an issue. They allow their new players to go home. But he will be expected to be there on Monday when their summer league training camp begins. So let's see. But one thing I will tell you with confidence, Danny Ainge and his son Austin are not going to bend here. They are not going to get pushed around. They do not care with what this situation might bring. So the idea that they are going to pressure the Jazz into something I don't think will be successful for Ace Bailey and his operation. But let's see how the next 72 hours plays out.
I want to just follow this because, again, I watched him play a ton for Rutgers, and I like him. But this seems kind of ridiculous to me. Like, he's good, but he's not this good to be trying to dictate to people, don't take me. Like, what the hell is that?
Well, look, first off, let me just say maybe he goes to Utah, is at that first practice on Monday, and is ready to go, and everything is fine. But I will just say the Jazz pretty much tanked last season, and then they got terrible luck in the lottery to go all the way back to 5th. They were hoping to get one of those top 2 picks. Then they had the circumstances come out where one of the top 3 most talented players on most people's estimation and boards was there at 5. They have to take that player there, Scott. They are not in position with where they are with their roster and the competition in the Western Conference to let a talented player like that go by. So they've got to do it. They will deal with it because that's what they have to do as an organization right now.
Ooh, so yep, Ace Bailey. And he was on Rutgers with his teammate Dylan Harper. And of course, Rutgers didn't really make it, but they had a pretty good season. I was following Dylan Harper the whole season, keeping track of his stats here. But yeah, I mean, what is this? They're going to have to, Danny Ainge and his son's like, nope, we're going to just draft and we're going to deal with it. So it's going to be funny what's going to happen.
I want to go back to what I think we talked about yesterday, or it certainly was the day before. Fans. No one cares about the fans. and players dictating to this degree where they play. And I know it's gone on before. I believe Stevie Francis forced his way to Houston. Maybe it was Vancouver that took him. And so we've seen this before, but now I think the players have even more leverage because Ace Bailey was willing to fall in the draft to get where he wanted or to avoid where he didn't want to go. And one of the reasons he's able to do that is because he probably pocketed $2-3 million in NIL money last year playing for Rutgers. And so it's these players have incredible leverage. There'll be a lot of fans, screw the owners, and they should be able to play wherever. This isn't good for fans. And I particularly feel sympathy for Utah Jazz fans in a league where it's just, they're racist in Utah, and why would a black player want to play in Utah? And people throw sympathy out the window. This is not good.
So Ace Bailey doesn't want to become the next Thurl Bailey. What a shame. Those are nice people in Utah. Really, they're good people over there. But Jason, you talk about Stevie franchise. Remember Danny Ferry? Drafted really high by the Clippers, and he said arrivederci, and he went to Italy or something. He played in Europe. And then eventually over time, the Clippers were forced to make this really good trade where they ended up getting a package of players for, quite frankly, the same after that trade.
That's funny. I remember that trade. Danny Ferry went to Italy for a year, and Ron Harper, which is the father of Dylan Harper, who went number 2 in the draft. And Ace Bailey was, Dylan Harper's teammate. I'm sounding like a broken record. Oh my goodness.
I give Ainge credit and his son. They're sticking by their guns. They're going to look. Ace Bailey can feel however he wants. He can do whatever he wants as an individual. The organization has a right to say, no, we're still going to pick you. And it's interesting that this comes up because earlier this week or several days ago, ESPNU replayed one of my favorite 30 for 30s, Elway to Marino. You remember that one, Jason? It was in the perspective of Marvin Demoff, who had both John Elway and then Dan Marino, who slid all the way to the end of the first. But the main storyline is that the Elways, the father and the son, said, we're not playing for Frank Cush and Irsay. And they went through the whole process. The Colts, while still in Baltimore, drafted him. And Ernie Accorsi, the GM, said, hold on, this is my job. I'm drafting John Elway. It's the greatest prospect ever. And they ended up, I don't know if they put him up for auction, but they took a deal that was okay. They got a very good player in Chris Hinton and a couple of draft choices, but they probably turned down other good deals. My view is this. The NBA and the league and the Utah Jazz have to draw a line. You hold on to Bailey. If he wants to sit out the whole doggone year, let him. Because I know he made some NIL money. But, Jason, what were the famous lines from the philosopher from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing? Yeah, we make a lot of money, but we spend a lot of money. The guy still has to work, Jason. He still has to work. Money in, money out.
I agree. Danny Ainge is talking tough now.
Yes, go Ainge.
I'm not sure if he'll be able to hold on to all that tough talk. I think he's going to have to fold. They'll have to trade him at some point, and they probably won't get equal value. Trust me, I remember Chris Hinton. He was a very good offensive lineman. Very good. Had Hall of Fame type talent. Had Hall of Fame, but that don't make up for John Elway. And I'm not calling this kid John Elway, but they're not going to get the equal compensation. And I get it. I agree with Windhorse's argument. Like, hey, look, where we're at, Ace Bailey falls into our lap, and we had him as the number 2 or 3 prospect in this draft. We got to take him. But overall, again, I just go back to like, man, this sports world, it has no concern for fans.
None.
Fans are last on the totem pole, and the fan experience is last on the totem pole. And I just wonder how long that is sustainable that the cut and it may be more sustainable than you think, because I'm telling you, as I look out at America and what they've done to capitalism, and we think we're
Yeah, as that, that good old nil money, that good old I got some money, but eventually, as Steven said, Ace Bailey's gonna need to get out there and work, or you. And then what is it? The next 72 hours, does he show up to a training camp? I think it's Monday already. So we don't know if he's going to show up to training camp for the summer league. We do not even know how long Ace Bailey's going to hold out. Uh, Talented player. Again, two players came out in the top 5 for Rutgers. And, the sad thing is they didn't even make it to the NC2A tournament. So, but yeah, these two were very talented. And yeah, so is he going to hold out while, his other counterpart, Dylan Harper, is going to have a season with San Antonio? This is, we're going to see how this all unfolds and see what they're going to do.
And no, we're not. No one cares about the customer anymore. Because trust me, if they cared about the customer, everything wouldn't be locked behind glass at Walmart or any of these convenience stores you go into. The police would be policing, shoplifting would go down, and these stores would be, but no one cares. Everything now is about messaging and agenda, and that's where the customer, which that's all fans are, we're just customers, we get put on the back burner. There was part of me that thought you can't keep these professional sports can't keep dumping on fans. Maybe they can. Maybe they can. Maybe it just doesn't matter anymore.
Jason, I want to make this point. I was thinking about this. The Utah Jazz have had some very good black players that had long careers there. Obviously, Karl Malone, Thurl Bailey, Darrell Griffith, Ricky Green, Antoine Carr, Darren Williams. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'll rescind this comment, but how many of those black players said, God, I hated Utah. I could not wait to get out. It was torture. I mean, honestly, a lot of them seem to kind of enjoy it, the peace, the solitude, the fact that it was the game in town. You had an exalted position. Now, maybe there were some incidents of road players, and I get it, that happens, but it seemed to me, by my recollection, most of the Utah Jazz mainstays who were black did not hate Utah or Salt Lake City. Or, in fact, I would say they actually enjoyed their experience with that franchise and city.
Yeah. And I've been to Utah. It's a nice, quiet little town. I actually went to a game there too. And yeah, you're not dealing with the hustle and bustle of LA or New York or Chicago. It's a nice little town. I don't know why Ace Bailey's like, oh, I got to be in the big city or whatever, or I got to be in New Orleans or whatever. This is not a bad place to play. I mean, he could make a name for himself. He could be bigger than Thurl Bailey, because I remember him. I don't know about Karl Malone. That's going to be a question. And then we have Jordan Clarkson. It could be something. He could be something there. But if he's going to keep fighting, oh, I make nil money, I'm going to sit out. And, of course, the customers these days, it's like we have to now pay more and more just to get some quality. Yeah.
Keep in mind who those guys were. They were 21, 22 years of age when they arrived in Utah. These guys now are 18 or 19. These guys now are showing up with pockets full of money, bank accounts that are in much better shape than when Karl Malone arrived in Utah. And so there was a level of gratitude. Hey, I'm just in the league. They're paying me a bunch of money. This is great. I can do this or that for my family. Now, expectations now have all been elevated, and there's an expectation of the way they're supposed to be treated. And so these guys now think, hey, I want to be in a city where, I'm a 15-minute drive from some nightclub that will play that kind of profanity-laced hip-hop music that I love. And Utah, it's a bit more difficult. It's not this. It's the entertainment options, and particularly the entertainment that fits your worldview.
You're saying strip club. You want to say strip club? Just say it. There may not be strip clubs in Salt Lake City. Just say it, Jason. Just blurt it out.
There are, but they're not nearly as good as the ones in Atlanta or Florida. Yeah.
Well, the talent's not the same. Come on, be honest.
Don't miss a.
Yeah, and shout out to Whitlock here, but yeah, this is just like when you see the WNBA turns, the NBA turns with Ace Bailey. We're like, okay, let's see if he really is going to just sit out the whole year, and Danny Ainge is going to have to trade him out. So question mark. We'll see. All right, if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special help thinking out. Hit that like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next